Hi, so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to run through a few of the examples that we did in class to learn how to set up and solve a linear equation in a problem-solving situation. So if you have your notebook, your spiral notebook handy, will you title the page Problem Solving with Linear Equations, and we're going to run through 3 examples. Okay, if you don't have your notebook, get a piece of paper, you can transfer it in later or staple the piece of paper in. Okay. The best way for this to go a little bit quicker is for you to hit the pause key and just copy down example 1 into your notebook, okay? And then we can talk about how to solve it and go from there. So go ahead and hit pause, write down example 1, and we'll get started here in a moment. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what this says. So what we're going to start by doing is we are given that the perimeter of the rectangle is 46, and then we need to find the area. So sometimes what happens with these is the last thing we read is find the area, and then we forget about what was given. So what was given to us is that the perimeter is equal to 46, and that's what we're going to need to use to solve an equation to find what x is, because we can't find the area until we know what x is. So a couple things we should probably know is that in a rectangle, the opposite sides are congruent, and we can go ahead and assume that the opposite sides are going to be the same. So let's go ahead and set up our perimeter equation. So remember that when you do the perimeter, you're adding up all 4 sides. So the best way to do this is to take the length there, 2x plus 3, and we're going to times that by 2 because there's 2 sides. And we're going to add that to 2 times the width there, x minus 1. Okay, and when we add all of that up together, it's going to equal the given perimeter, which is 46. So let's go ahead and apply the distributive property, and we're going to get 4x plus 6 plus 2x minus 2 is equal to 46. All right. At any point you feel comfortable solving this equation, you can go ahead and hit the pause key, solve it, and then kind of fast forward and see if you're right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm combining my terms, and I see that a 4x and a 2x is going to combine to make 6x. And then what we're going to have over here is I see that we have a positive 6, take away 2, and I'm going to combine that first to be plus 4 equals 46. So I always combine all my like terms before I start trying to isolate the variable. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and we're going to get 6x equals 42. Let's do this last step here of dividing by 6. And what we're going to end up as a result, I'm going to come right here, is we are going to get x is equal to 7. Okay? Now, remember, sometimes you might just be asked to write and solve an equation for x. But remember, the point is to figure out the area. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about the given side lengths and plug 7 into that so that we can find our area. So what this is going to look like is the given side was 2x plus 3. So I'm going to plug in the given 7, and it's going to be 2 times 7 plus 3. And then over here, this side length is going to be 7 minus 1. So I'm just plugging the 7 into our original side lengths that was given to us. Okay, so let's think about what this is going to be. Well, 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 3 makes this side length 17. And 7 minus 1 is going to be 6. So what we have is a rectangle with a length of 17 and a width of 6. So the area is going to be 17 times 6 for length times width. Just grabbing my calculator here. And 17 times 6 gives us an area of 102. Okay? So the idea is just to set up and solve an equation and then answer different aspects of the question. Okay? So hopefully you feel comfortable if you see perimeter questions with what you can start by doing there. All right. So will you do the same thing? We're going to run through a translating number problem, which is going to be the other types of problems you're going to see. So hit the pause key, write down example 2, and let's go through this when you're ready. All right. So what example 2 says is 1/2 the sum of a number in 6 is 14. Well, what I don't know here is I don't know what this number is. So let's kind of go through, and we're going to think about translating each part of this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make a note. Let x equal this number that's unknown. So we're going to write and solve an equation with x in so that we can find out what this number is. All right, let's go ahead and translate this. 1/2 is going to look like this, okay? When it says 1/2 the sum of a number, what we need to do is put a parenthesis, okay? Sorry about that. We're going to put a parenthesis and the sum of a number in 6. All right, I'm going to go all the way to here. Okay, so we're going to translate this to be quantity, a number, and 6. The is part is going to be the equal sign, and they're telling us that it equals 14. All right, so let's write this a little bit better. This equation is going to be 1/2 the sum of x plus 6 in a parenthesis is equal to 14. Okay? If you want, you can go ahead and distribute the 1/2, and we're going to get 1/2 x. 6 times a half is 3, and that's going to equal 14. Okay? So we just keep solving it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and we see that we have 1/2 x. I'm going to come right over, well, let's do this. 1/2 x is equal to 11. Now, what are we going to do to undo 1/2? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal 2, okay? And I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, because what's happening here is 2 times a half is 1, and so what we just did was get the x by itself. And 11 times 2 is 22, so that means that 22 is the number that we were trying to solve for, okay? So here's the last problem that we're going to do. Let's do something a little bit more complicated. And so, again, this example says 158 less than 5 times the number is equal to the number increased by 20. And the point of what we're doing is we're going to find the number. So go ahead and hit the pause key, write this down, and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, let's start translating. 150, well, you know what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just kind of go through and make a few notes about what these words mean. When I see 158 less than, that to me is going to mean subtraction, okay? And so we need to kind of understand that this right here is going to be a minus. 5 times the number is going to look like 5 times the number x. Is equal to is going to be equals. This is going to be the number increased by 20. Let's tie all of this together. Now I'm going to tell you the tricky part is when you read 158 less than 5 times the number. So what that's going to look like is 5 times the number, and what we're doing is subtracting 158 less than that, okay? If it's 158 less than, then it's the 158 that needs to be negative because it's being subtracted. So now we have our is equal to the number increased by 20. All right, so that's the hard part. Once you write the equation, now you're just solving your equation using all of the skills that we have been working on. 5x minus x is going to be 4x minus 158 equals 20 because these x's canceled. So now I'm going to work on getting the 158 to the other side, and we get 4x equals 178 if I take 158 plus 20. And then finally, we're going to divide both sides by 4, and the result is going to be x equals 178 divided by 4 is going to be 44.5. And that's okay. And sometimes we do end up getting a decimal and don't necessarily think that that is incorrect. Okay? So that's just an example of some of the things that you're going to see in this problem-solving assignment that you are going to start today if you have been absent. Again, everything is linked to the absent work outline on Schoology. All right. Hope this helps. Hope you got all that down. We'll see you back in class.